As I always say, the human society before us consists of invariably the household community. I would like to put it in this manner: 99.9999 recurring percent of human beings are householders. Even the spiritual people, ascetic people, austere people, all of them have their birth from the householders. So the household community should be the focus for any kind of a discussion. This is something very important. We are discussing what should be the lifestyle of the householders. According to our own Vedas and Vedic system of thinking, are there some principles, values and ideals to govern the household life? We always understand that money is an important factor. In other words, wealth. Our Shastras do not say that wealth is not something necessary for our life. It is an important part of our life. We have to first of all preserve our body. This means we must have food and nourishment on a daily basis. We must also have something to put on in the form of our dress. Then the body, along with the relations, relatives and the like, will have to be hosted by a house. So food, shelter and clothing are the primary needs. How to acquire them? What is the method for it? We must have the resources. And these resources are represented by what you call money or wealth. So wealth is not something that we should avoid or we should hate. It's a very important, indispensable aspect of preserving our life. At the same time, what should be our objective or attitude towards either gaining wealth or utilizing it as part of our life? I don't think many have a clear point of view. Sreemad Bhagavatam clearly says, Dhanam cha dharmaika phalam yato vai. The only object of wealth is to gain dharma, it says. And what is the purpose of dharma? Jnanam savijnanam anuprashanti. To gain knowledge, and that knowledge should govern our life, as a result of which we must be able to acquire enough of peace, contentment and freedom for us. Say we are maintaining our life, our body. What for? So that our senses will be functional. Why are the senses functioning? At the dictate of the mind, they are doing their respective activities. What for? To generate imprints in the mind. And what for are the imprints of the mind? Only to have contentment and fulfillment. So ultimately the gain is inner. If contentment and fulfillment are the goal of human life, how can we have it? So let us not forget the fundamental fact that the purpose of human life, the goal of human life is something clearly inner. And it is to be identified as resting in the mind and also the intelligence. Thinking in this manner, what can be the objective of life? I always explain it that everyone has got some skill, some knowledge, some potential. It is this potential and skill that generally get employed whenever you seek an employment. It may be with the government, it may be with the private sector, it may be for the sake of an industry, you may be teaching, you may be conducting research, you may be doing trade, agriculture, anything whatsoever. Is it actually for remuneration and generating an income? If you ask me, not at all so. I would like every one of you to dissociate the subject of remuneration from whatever you do. Remuneration is necessary and the employer is bound to give it to you. There is no doubt about it. But why are you working? What is your profession for? Here comes the spiritual or the right point of view that you have to develop. What is that point of view? Everyone exerts himself in order to generate a certain measure and kind of productivity. And this productivity is going to be part of the societal pool. Say, think of a car factory. Some industrialist is running an industry to make cars. Maybe they are making 100 or 200 cars per day. All of them when manufactured, where do they remain? They don't remain in the yard of the factory. As they are manufactured, so they go out of the factory, different dealers take hold of them, and the purchasers or consumers get hold of them. They are plying in different parts of the country and even outside. Not even one car is consumed by either the owner or the employer. What does it mean? All the employees, whether they are factory workers or office workers, they are in the head office, corporate office or other offices. They are making their contributions in order to generate the pool called productivity. This productivity, either in the form of goods or services, go to the consumer. The society avails of all goods and services. Because they need it for them, they are availing of them. So ultimately, the productivity of every individual, in whatever field of activity he or she is going to benefit the society. Let us understand it very clearly. Anybody who works in a factory or works in a farm field, whatever productivity or produce you are able to make, it all goes to the benefit for the consumption of the society. You cannot afford to keep quiet at all. And so far as the society is concerned, I would like to emphasize, the society needs multiple contributions from a variety of sources. Everyone is contributing to it. The housewife is contributing to it. The master of the house is also doing it. The priest does it. The employees do it. The farmers do it. The merchants and the traders, all communities are contributing to the society's benefit, amelioration of the quality of society life. If this point is understood, I think we will have a different perspective about our job, our remuneration. So far as remuneration is concerned, everyone is getting a little money. What for? Only to look after the body and look after the family members. That is a necessity. That is why it comes. But so far as you are concerned, your work is generally always going to produce a measure and kind of productivity, and that is a common pool. Do you understand it or not? I am asking my viewers. You should be very clear about it. So, whether you are paid or not, as long as you are working in a given field of work, your work must be absolutely very well and effectively done with all zeal and fervor. Remuneration should not be a point for you to grumble. It is for every employer to give the employees a reasonable degree of remuneration. That is necessary. But your work is not to produce that. It is always to bring about productivity, and that is a pool that the society is going to avail of from time to time. Is there any productivity which any employer or industry is going to consume by itself? Not at all. Not at all. So you have a direct relationship with the society. You are a member of the society. The society should always flourish. The society must have health, well-being, prosperity and all that. Then only you will be all right. And the society consists of people. And the societal, say, GDP, we are saying. Now this is a direct outcome of individual efforts taking place in different walks of life, fields of life, sectors of life. So this point should be understood. Shankara puts it very clearly. Mudha-jahi hidhanagama trishnam kurusad buddhim manasi vidrishnam yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Unless we are able to psychologically, mentally orient ourselves to this kind of a thought process, I don't think we shall be happy. Hey Mudha, oh fool, it is from Mohamudgara, that Bhajagovinda composition. Hey Mudha, oh foolish person, Jahihi dhanagama drishnam. Completely eschew, abandon, forsake what? Dhanagama Trishnam. The greed for earning more and more money, more and more wealth. Kuru Sadbuddhim. Engage your mind in the thought and introspection of the Supreme Truth. Manasi Vitrishnam. In your mind you should cultivate Vitrishna, the absence of greed, sufficient dispassion. That what is going to delight you is your own mind. Delight is an emotional evolute of the mind. Unless the mind is able to produce delight, even with a lot of wealth and abundant prosperity, you will not be able to feel joy or contentment. So understand, the source of joy is your own mind. And when the mind becomes free of desire and free of greed, then alone that joyfulness will also result. Mukti-skandham dhanagama trishnam kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam yallabhase nija karmopatam. Whatever you are getting in your country, in your society, in the special sector in which you have skill to offer. See, all people are not paying equally. If you look into the state governments, you will find their grades are of a certain level. The central government has a different scale for the same job. Maybe between the states also there is a difference. So how much the government will pay you will depend upon the budget the government itself has. And in the government you will find we have got every 5 years a pay commission. In between there is no increase at all. Whereas in the private sector industries you will find every year there is an increase in salary. Now this salary is determined by the resourcefulness of your employer. How much he can afford to pay. What is the type of industry that you are in and in which country you are. Maybe in India you will pay X amount for a job. When you go to the European or American countries, you will find for the same job, you will be paid X plus. What is the reason? The cost of living is different. The per capita income is different in different countries. So our payment or salary that we get will depend upon all these different factors. So let us not bother about it. Yal labhase nija karmopatam. By virtue of your effort, the activity or the exertion that you are making, yal labhase, whatever you are able to get or you get, nija karmopatam, as a result of your personal effort, vittam tena vinodaya chittam. That much, whatever remuneration you get, if you are a state government, you will get less. If you are a central government employee, then you will be paid a little more. Whatever you are getting, vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Tena chittam vinodaya. By that or with that, try to rejoice. Try to delight in your own mind and heart. So this is actually a contentment that you have to develop. You have to culture it, cultivate it. Be never greedy for any kind of a thing, particularly wealth. The moment you have a lot of money and you have a greed for it, you will always want to have still further more. So the mind will be totally discontented. Mukti-skandham dhanagama trishnam kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam mudhamate. This is how this particular stotra begins. Now, if you go to the 11th chapter of Ekadasha Skandha, there Sri Krishna specifies our attitude towards wealth in a much better manner. It's a very clear injunction. Whenever I used to speak about it, my listeners in different parts, in different cities, they used to say, Swamiji, this is something that we never know, nobody has told us. We would like you to write a book so that the householders will have a lot of knowledge about it. Otherwise, we will be totally in ignorance. We don't know what to do. Perhaps we are all misdoing. So here is a point of view which Sri Krishna presents. Gam dugdhadoham asatim cha bharyam deham paradhinam asat prajam cha vittam tvatirthi kritamangavacham hinam maya rakshati dukkha dukhi. Everyone will have some measure of prosperity, wealth or money with him or her. Because we are all living. For living, you have to have your food. You must have a measure of clothing also. All these have to be acquired, and you must have certain money, certain wealth with you. Whatever be the quantum or the measure of wealth, understand that we have to do something called charity or dana. He says that Gam dugdhadoham asatim cha bharyam deham paradhinam asat prajam cha vittam tu atirthi kritamangavacham hinam maya rakshati dukkha dukhi. I generally explain this verse particularly to make the householder community understand vittam tu atirthi kritamangavacham. Vitta means wealth. Atirthi kritam means unpurified. So this is a very special coordinate that all of you should know about. Whatever may be the nature of money, wealth or resources that you have, they should always be purified. If you have impure wealth, what will happen? By utilizing it, you will incur sin. If you bequeath it to the children or the others, by getting them, they will also become putrefied. It's easy perhaps to bequeath property and wealth to your children. But how will you ensure that they are spending it, utilizing it properly? Suppose you have bequeathed wealth and the children are misspending the whole lot. They can become very sinful, very cruel. So how to ensure it? There is a coordinate called Tirthaji kritatva. Whatever wealth you have, that wealth should be purified. How will you purify the wealth? There is only one method. A reasonable part of it, say about 20% or 50% of your wealth, will have to be distributed, given over to whom? Not your blood or matrimonial relationships, not for them. People besides these, you will have to give them. In what manner? Call them, tell them, understand and assess their needs, and then hand over whatever you have, inviting them with a lot of love, fondness and consideration, and give it to them saying that, my dear souls, please come. Please take what I am giving, make use of it. If you make use of it, I shall be immensely grateful and rewarded. With this kind of an attitude, you should give. You know, the society is never going to become equal anytime. If you are a little resourceful, you will find many people around you are not so. It is our duty to help the deserving and the needy. If there are needy sections in the society, the resourceful people should feel grateful towards them. Suppose you have enough and you have a heart to give, nobody is there to receive it, then where do you stand? So let us be very grateful to the needy and to the suffering. Suppose you are not able to purify your wealth, then he says it is as disgraceful and troublesome as, and he lists one after the other. Gam dugdhadoham. Suppose you keep a cow and look after her. Generally cows are kept so that they will lactate, they will give us milk. Suppose you start feeding the cow and the cow is not a milch cow, it is not yielding milk. What happens to so much of money that you are spending to give feeds? Dugdhadoham. A cow that has gone dry, it will not yield any more milk if you look after it. All that you give, she will be eating. Finally, you will get only cow dung and urine, nothing else. So it is a wasteful exercise. In the same manner, asatim cha bharyam. If you care, nurse and look after very well affectionately a wife who is unfaithful to you, all the attention that you give and the wealth that you are incur in keeping her happy, etc., what will be the result? In her mind, there is fascination, there is fondness for some other man. So it is just like looking after and pleasing an unfaithful wife. Similarly, deham paradhinam. Our body, whatever you may say, it is not under our control and our dictate. It needs food and nourishment which we don't have. It needs constantly air and oxygen which we don't have. It needs water. So it is actually depending upon other sources. There must be earth to support it. There must be air for it to breathe. There must be water to drink. There must be so many other substances which it has to use. So it is actually paradhina. Neither our birth is determined by us, nor is our death going to be under our control. Every day of life is also, truly speaking, is not under our control. So it is actually paradhinam. It is in the hands of the others. Suppose you look after the body, however much you may do, who is sure that the next moment the heart will beat? These are days when very healthy people submit themselves to some kind of a regular medical examination. On medical examination, it is found that, the doctors say, immediately you have to submit yourself to a surgery. Your heart has so many blocks. They may not know it otherwise. Only by an angiogram it is revealed. So we don't know what is going to be the condition of the body, whether it will be alive or not the next moment. Such a body you are looking after. Deham paradhinam asat prajam cha. Similarly, children who will not listen to you, who are not grateful to you, who do not understand anything like a filial responsibility, affection or allegiance. Such children, if you look after, what will happen? They will give you only grief. In the same manner, vittam tu atirthi gridam. Whatever wealth you have, if it is not purified by a liberal measure of dana, angavacham hinam maya. Similarly, you can speak quite a lot. We all have a very good tongue, 2 rows of teeth and lips also. So we can talk very well. But if all the talk that you do day after day does not contain any reference to the supreme, graceful, benign God, then all the talk is wasteful. You cannot consider them to be rewarding at all. Now these are the 5 sources that Sri Krishna refers to. Like that, rakshati dukkha dukhi. Preservation of this wealth will be preservation of all these. What? A cow that has stopped yielding milk, a wife who is unfaithful, the body which is dependent upon uncontrollable other sources, similarly disobedient and immoral children, and finally words which do not carry any reference or description of God. Like all these things, hina maya rakshati dukkha dukhi. Having wealth, preserving this kind of an unpurified wealth will be only inviting misery after misery. So what is our point of view? Whatever wealth you have, that wealth has to be purified. You have to purify it. And the only method of purifying wealth is making use liberally of that wealth, a very good share of it, and employ it in the way of dana. It is with this point of view that we are conducting every year and also in a monthly manner an Annavastra Dana Satram. We started it at the request of an American couple who, handing over some money to the trustees of our ashram, they said that we would like you to keep this money, deposit it, and whatever interest it accrues every year, using that interest, we would like you to do Annadana for at least a few people. Purushottama Swamiji, who was looking after Vyasatapavanam at that time, this happened about 26 years or 27 years back. He called me and told me that this has happened, what shall we do? So we decided that we will not cook food and ask people to come and eat. Because these are days when people are busy in one way or the other. So inviting people and everyone coming, if you cook in the morning, before evening, the food will be spoiled. So we decided that rather than giving cooked food, we will give them rice, Along with a piece of cloth, we decided. Like that we started.